Hi everyone, this is Jem from the Wine and Spirits Association of all Japan.
Hi, I'm Ayu.
I am back together with Ayu to visit Eigashima Shuzo, the distillery that makes Akashi Whisky. Ayu, Akashi Whisky といえばどんなイメージがありますか？
明石はいろんなスーパーで見かける有名なウイスキーです。
Akashi whiskies range from very affordable blends to premium Japanese single malts like the one I am holding now. Eigashima Shuzo is a historic family-owned distillery. They are the first ones to ever obtain whiskey production license in Japan back in 1919. Their whiskeys are quite popular in abroad too. That said, they mostly have been making sake and shochu until recently when they started to boom their whiskey production. Now, Akashi Whisky is one of the most popular and biggest Japanese whiskey brands. We will talk about how they make Akashi Whisky.
映画島酒造さんは、大阪の近くにあって、とても綺麗なところにあります。近くには海もあって、とても綺麗です。
海に隣ね。
海の隣ですね。はい、
それは特別こと。はい、そうです。Without further ado, let's meet the makers of Akashi Whisky. Indeed, what impressed us the most about Eigashima Shuzo was its sheer beauty, as it is a rare case of a distillery located on the seafront in the coastal town of Akashi, which gave its name to Eigashima's whiskey brand. Now let's meet Nakagura-san, who will take us around.
皆さんこんにちは。私、映画島酒造の蒸留所長の中村と申します。よろしくお願いします。私ども映画島酒造というのは、ウイスキーの明石を製造しております。あちらの方に書いてありますように、製造免許は1919年と日本でももう最古の方に入ってきます。でただそこから、1961年に、まで、から、蒸留記録というのが残っておりますので、当社としましては1961年から製造というのを始めました。それでもまだ50年経っておりますので結構長い部類だとは思います。私どもの方はこのウイスキー明石の他にも清酒、それからみりん、焼酎、ワイン、いろいろなものを製造しております。当社としましてはこの醸造家という部署で清酒とウイスキーを主に作っております。皆さんのもとに届けるような美味しいウイスキー作り、美味しい清酒作りをスタッフ一同心がけておりますのでよろしくお願いします。
Historic pot stills are in display at the entrance of the distillery, and this door leads to the production room where we will see actual pot stills in use. These are the main actors behind Akashi Whisky, the pot stills. The one in the back is where the first stage of distilling happens and is twice as large as the pot still in the front, which is for the second flow that concentrates the distilled liquid even more. Distilleries use different kinds of pot stills. Eigashima particularly highlights how the condenser arm of their pot still, where the distillate flows, is thicker than usual. This allows the cooling to happen quickly and helps to concentrate flavors.
ウイスキーの製造を開始した時の最大の課題は何でしたか？
製造を開始した時っていうのは私まだ生まれてないのでわからないんですけど、やはり最初の方っていうのはおそらくウイスキー会社っていうのも1961年ぐらいですとサンドリーさんぐらいしかなかったのかな、非常になかったので、おそらく焼酎の延長みたいな感じで作られたんじゃないかなと思います。で先人の方々もやはり本当データも何もないので、それこそね竹鶴さんが向こうに修行したような竹鶴ロードっていうのを手本にしたりとか、まだ情報がないので、いろんな人に聞いたりとか、して手探りでやってたんだと思いますね。今は結構情報が公開されているんでね、我々も書物なり何なりでいろいろ勉強することもできるんですが、その当時っていうのはおそらく手探りで人に聞いたりとか、本当本を読むといってもおそらく英語の本も読んでそれで勉強したと思います。非常に大変だと思います。ウイスキー作りにおいてだけでなく、全てのやはりものづくり全てだと思うん ですが、やはり作るものすべて全員がやはり美味しいものを皆さんに届けようという気持ちですよね。そういう美味しいものを作る、これはお酒だけではなくて食べ物でも何でもそうだと思うんですが、美味しいものを飲んでもらって、で皆さんに幸せになってもらうという、そういう気持ちを一番大切に持ってスタッフ一同作っております。
Next, we visit the storage room where they keep the oak casks filled with spirits, which are going to become Akashi whiskies. Eigashima has an amazing variety of casks. The small ones are bourbon barrels that can hold about 200 liters. The big barrels are mainly barrels that used to have sherry in them. There are 3 types of sherry casks: Oloroso, Pedro Jimenez, and cream sherry. There are other more rarely seen casks as well, such as brandy casks and tequila casks. There are about 4 such warehouses in this distillery. The size and the level of char of an oak cask are important variables in determining how much oak flavors will go into the whiskey. And of course, the type of liquid the cask used to store will affect the kind of flavors that will go into the whiskey.
大体ね、ジャパニーズウイスキーっていうのはスコッチウイスキーと似たような形をするんですが、例えばバーボンなんかはシンダルでアメリカンオープンで寝かすんですよね。でスコットランドのスコッチウイスキーというのは基本はその使い終わったバーボンダルにまた自分たちの蒸留したウイスキーを入れて熟成させるというのが手法ですね。でそのやり方っていうのをジャパニーズウイスキーというのは大体真似をしておりまして、主にバーボンダルとシェリーダルというのが使用されます。まずその2点、大きなものを使用するのと同時に、あと何でもいいんですね。別に樽であれば何でも貯蔵はできるので、正直ちょっと焼酎寝かした樽があるけどとか、何かを寝かした樽、いわゆるテキーラであるとか、あとはシンダルとかでもね、栗とかいろいろあるんですが、そういったもの、業者さんとかがこういうのありますよっていうので面白そうだなと思ったら、使ってみようかなっていう感じですね。はい、
ありがとうございます。
This room is probably my favorite and the most interesting. They have an amazing variety of casks here. These are the bourbon casks and they have come from many different distilleries. This is the Heaven Hill one, and over there they have the old oak casks. Some of them were used in sherry, some of them were used in tequila before, and now they all hold what is going to be new Akashi whiskey bottles. So I'm very excited to see them getting bottled.
これからどんなことをしていく予定ですか？現在生産されているスピリッツ以外のスピリッツに挑戦する予定とかは？
そうですね、規模的にまた人の問題とかも考えて、今はそのウイスキーのやはり生産量が少ないので、増産に向けてということで、特に他の種類を作るというのは今考えてないですね。まだまだね、やはりご要望に応えることができないぐらいの小さい生産量ですので、やはり人を育てて、それからウイスキーの方を増産体制して、またそれからね、私も一のんべいですんで、いろんなものをまた作っていきたいなとは思ってます。
最近のウイスキー業界での傾向は何だと思いますか？
そうですね、皆さんご存知のように、その非常に海外でもジャパニーズウイスキーというのが非常に注目されておりまして、ありがたい話なんですが、当社でもすごく海外にも輸出しておりましてね、非常に喜ばしいことだと思っております。ただやはりね、ちょっと投資目的とかでもウイスキーやっぱり今入ってますんで、あまりにも我々生産者としたら本当法外な金額というか、あまりにも高い金額で取引されるのはちょっと不本意だなっていうのは正直思いますね。やはり適正な価格で取引されて、安くて美味しいものを消費者の皆さんに飲んでほしいなっていうのが我々清酒ウイスキーを作っている会社みんなが考えていることだと思います。はい、
ありがとうございます。じゃあ次に映画島酒造さんで生産されているウイスキーは世界中で販売されていますけども、新たに映画島酒造さんのウイスキーを試したいと考えている世界中の方へメッセージをお願いします。
そうですね、我々生産量の少ない、日本のウイスキーメーカーなんですが、これから少しずつでもより品質のいいもので美味しいものを届けるのはもちろんのことですが、皆さんに届くように先ほど言いましたような低価格で美味しいものを頑張って作る。それから我々 県産の麦芽とか県産の木材っていうのも今考えておりまして、そういった特徴のあるものですね、テロワールも意識したようなウイスキー作りを皆さんにお届けできたらいいなと思っております。
Yes, now we are at the most enjoyable part, at least for me. I have in front of me 4 different Akashi whiskey to taste, from their very affordable signature blend white oak to their rare, very complex single malt finished in sherry cask. Let's see how these 4 compare and let's begin tasting. So we will begin with the white oak, one of their most affordable blended whiskies. I think it's under $10. It's in every supermarket in Japan, and let's see how it compares to usual blended whiskies. Wow, it's surprisingly pleasant. It's very easy to drink, light-bodied, really smooth on the palate. I'd say more fruit notes, some orange. It's not very complex, but you wouldn't expect it to be. But for a blended whiskey at this price, I think it's quite enjoyable. And let's compare it with their signature single malt. This is of course a bit harder to find and a bit more pricey, but it's still, I think, as far as Japanese single malts go, a very affordable option. So let's see how it fares with the blended Akashi. A bit of water. Yeah, this is much more complex on the nose. There's hints of spiciness and sea breeze, I'd say. More like a scotch. Some peppery scent here. Wow. Very elegant. It's a young whiskey, but very elegant. The spices first open in the palate. I think there's some black pepper here. And give way to nice fruitiness we also saw in the Akashi blended whiskey, but it's much more complex and a very well done single malt. And next we have the blended Eigashima whiskey with sherry cask finish. So we both have the single malt sherry cask finish and we have the blended sherry cask finish. So let's compare these two. Let's do side by side. This has a sweeter profile on the nose. This is again more complex as expected. Some spicy parts too, spicy layers. Wow, this I'm looking forward to this one. Let's say it like that. This is really nice. It's like eating a fruit cake almost. Red fruit cake. Some berries here. It's very easy to drink, I'd say. No harshness at all. And it's not overly sweet. It's elegantly sweet, so I really like that. So some raisins from the sherry probably. I think the sherry cask worked well here. Compared with the blended, it's more like red fruity, more dried fruit, I'd say. Again, raisins probably. This has more body, more punch to it, definitely, the single malt. And the fruitness is there, but there's also definitely that hints of black pepper we saw with the original single malt. I think you can sense the same character in this one as well. It's very deep, very elegant. I think, out of all the bottles, I think this one is my favorite, but I think the blended offers a very easy, nice drink. Probably it would be better chilled a bit. This one is good on its own. I think the sherry casks work really well, and if you like these deep raisin notes, a bit more like red fruit rather than the citrusy notes we see in these two bottles, I would go with the sherry casks. They're really complex, but the regular single malt is a very good, very affordable single malt, I say. As for the blend, for this price, it's stunning, honestly. Like, of course, it doesn't offer anything you wouldn't expect. It's not as complex as the single malt, but as far as its rivals go in the same price range, this is a very exceptional whiskey. So I'm very happy with what I've tasted. The finish of the single malt sherry cask is for me the most exceptional part. It's like having this raisin dark chocolate melting in your mouth and slowly flowing in your palate. It's super good. I think, of course, it's cheap from more expensive, so this would be the obvious choice. But it depends on what you want. Again, if you like more on the sweeter, easier to drink, light-bodied whiskeys, the blended sherry cask is really good. And then, of course, for an affordable choice and for cocktails, the blended white oak. The single malts are much more complex, but I'm basically in love with the single malt sherry cask. Today we wanted to introduce you to one of the biggest whiskey makers of Japan. Eigashima Shuzo's whiskey production is still relatively young, but is built on generations of alcohol distilling experience. Already a big brand, I think Akashi will grow much more popular in the future when they start releasing older whiskies. あゆの感想はどうでしたか？
はい、ウイスキーの蒸留所っていうところは初めて訪れたんですけど、ウイスキーの香りだったりとか、その製造に対する、製造工程のこだわりだったりとかを教えていただいて、とても楽しかったです。
よかったです。Hope you have enjoyed our tour of Eigashima Shuzo. We would love to hear your comments below on the Akashi whiskies you tried before. Soon we will have a new video with me tasting different kinds of Akashi whiskey, so please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Cheers and see you very soon.
Bye bye.